Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Today is the big day. Today is the release date for the Revolver album, the new remix that's out for 2022. And I've had a chance to listen to one disc of the sessions, which I'm very excited about. I think you're going to see a lot of glowing stuff I have to say about that, but that's going to be in a future video. I have to listen to all the sessions. I've only gone halfway there. But so far, I liked what I heard. But this particular video that I'm doing here, this is going to be discussing the proper album, the new stereo remix 2022, and I'm holding up the CD. Okay, this is what I listen to. I have the vinyl and I have the CD. I decided that I would go with the CD, and let me tell you how I listen to this. Okay, I listen to it in my car. I have a great sounding system in the car. The car that I have now doesn't have a CD player in it, but I bought this really fairly pricey portable CD player, which sounds fantastic. It's the next best thing to have, and one built right into the car. So that's what I'm going to be going by. I've only given the new 2022 remix one listen. This is completely first impression kind of thing, how I felt listening to it the first time on the CD. Will I feel differently future listens? Possibly, but please know going in, this is my first gut reaction to this, first listen, and that's what I'm reporting on. All right. I want to say also, I'm not an audiophile. I'm not a fanatic. I don't have to have everything so perfect all the time, and I don't always buy all this great technical equipment. So this is just an average Joe, if you will, giving you his opinion of this. And I'm very familiar, of course, with the Beatles' Revolver album. Now, I've been listening to this album, I guess, in my life, for my span of my life, about 45 years, give or take, something like that. And I want to make it clear, too, if I can say, when you're listening to something and it's burned into your consciousness and your brain, and you hear a certain thing, this is the way you're used to listening to it. I've listened to this album, oh, hundreds of times over the course of several decades. It's burned in there. We all hear things differently. And as I get older, I don't know about some of you, but as I get older, I don't hear exactly the same as I used to. So I'm going to put all this out there just so you know when I start where I'm coming from with this. Okay. Now, this is my honest opinion. The way I do things is I try to be straight, tell you how it is. I'm not interested in kissing up to anybody. I'm not trying to kiss up to Apple or Universal Music or Giles Martin or anybody out there. I just tell it like it is. And please, I hope you'll value my sincerity here. All right. Now, to go back to really briefly the history of these releases with George Martin since, say, 2017, when we first had the Sergeant Pepper 50th anniversary remix, which generally I liked, by the way. I liked Sergeant Pepper, but I've come to the conclusion that for me personally, it's hit and miss with Giles Martin. I've always said that. He's got the Martin name. He's got a first name with a G like George Martin, so he's the guy that's doing the remixes. Uh, and it's been very hit and miss. Sometimes I listen to a track that he's remixed, and I take it song by song. It's really song by song, and I say, "Hey, you know what? This sounds great. He did a great job with this song. Kudos, Giles." Other times I listen and I say, "Giles, what did you do? You wrecked the song." And nowhere was this clearer in something like, say, I don't know, the White Album that was very mixed for me. I did not like what he did to a lot of the songs, but other songs I did like. I didn't like While My Guitar Gently Weeps. I didn't like Helter Skelter. But other stuff I liked. I mean, Your Blues comes to mind. I liked Your Blues on there. I liked Dear Prudence on it. So it's not all one size fits all right. So I've been like that with Giles Martin. And now this Revolver edition, again, I'm talking about the CD. There's the CDs in there. It's the same thing. It's the same thing that it's always been for me. Um, I find it to be a hit and miss situation, and I have notes here that I'm going to refer to. I'm going to go through every track, and again, this is only for the stereo remix album. This is the new mix 2022. There's nothing else here. I'll tackle bonus features in a future video. All right. I'm definitely more of a Paul Hicks guy than a George. Excuse me, than a Giles Martin guy. Definitely more of a Paul Hicks guy than a Giles Martin guy, just based on how I feel from what I've listened to. All right. And, my feeling has always been, before I start, let me just get this out of the way too, that the albums by the Beatles that I'm most interested in seeing what Giles Martin will do is the early ones, are the early ones, 1963 to 65. I'm interested in seeing how he's going to improve that because of the harsh stereo music on one side, vocals on the other. I want him to try to center the vocals. I'm more interested in hearing how Please Please Me, With the Beatles, A Hard Day's Night, Beatles for Sale, Help, and Rubber Soul are going to come out. See, to me, everything from Revolver all the way up to, well, what, Let It Be is pretty good already. I didn't really think that, albums like Revolver, Pepper, the White Album, Abbey Road, Let It Be. I didn't really think they needed that kind of tweaking, really. So I've said a lot here, but I wanted to set the table and let you know. All right. Now for this particular release, I think that much like with the Sergeant Pepper, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that they're going by the mono as the template for this. The template for this is probably the mono. And there's something I like about this. The first thing I do like about the new 2022 mix is I like that the vocals are, out there. They're in your face or ears. They're right up front. They're vibrant. The vocals are where I want them to be. Okay, then it's not the panning or harsh stuff like that. I like that, but as always, it's at the expense of other nuances that are gone to me. And I'm going to take it track by track. All right. So we're going to start with the first track, Taxman. Now, people have been saying they don't hear the count in as well as they used to, particularly the number one. When George Harrison says one, two, three, four, when he does that, they don't hear the one. I played this back like three times. I hear the one. So that's good. I can hear the one, two, three, four very clearly to kick us off. Really, no problem there at all. So that's just my view. Yours may be different, but I hear it fine. And the first thing I like, as I said, is the boosted vocal. I like hearing George really prominent singing this up front. But what I say when I listen to this is, what happened to the tambourine? In trying to change this and trying to make it more, I don't know, immediate. And that's a good thing. That's a word I'll use for this album. It's very immediate. You feel kind of in the room with the Beatles, but vocally anyway, sonically, and the drums are fantastic. The drums are always well done on these. However, what happened to little? I'm listening again, having heard this song for decades. I'm missing the prominent tambourine, and that throws me out. Now, if this is your first time listening to this album, you may be like, "Hey, you know what? This sounds great. Hey, if you're a young person, this is perfectly fine for you. This whole album, by the way." Okay, you'll have no issues with it. But for people like me that are used to it, I wonder. I wonder. So Taxman, so. Second track, Eleanor Rigby. I was really anxious to hear Eleanor Rigby because I wanted to make sure that Paul's vocal was up front. I wanted to make sure there was none of that bit where when he sings Eleanor Rigby, which first when it comes in with the vocal, you usually hear he says L. As soon as he says L, it goes over to the side and a pan kind of thing. I should mention, I meant to mention, you always forget something, folks. Up front, I did not listen, although I'm wearing headphones now. I'm wearing headphones basically because I'm in an apartment and the microphone gets rid of all ambient sounds from the neighbors and stuff. That's why I'm wearing the headphones here now. But listening to this album, I did not have headphones on, and I don't really care to listen for headphones. I guess you get the best impression if you have headphones, but to listen to these things. But the reason I did not is because I don't usually listen to music with headphones. I don't really believe in it. I don't like doing that. So therefore, why put headphones on to listen to this if it turns out that on regular listenings I'm never going to have them on anyway? You may say, "Oh, this sounds like that," or "This sounds like that," with the headphones, but it doesn't matter. It's all moot because you're not going to be listening to headphones regularly. So back to Eleanor Rigby. I love the fact Eleanor Rigby is probably one of my favorite tracks on this new mix, if not my favorite, one of my favorites. So there's something good. I thought it was maybe the most impressive track because Paul's vocal was up front, doesn't pan, and very sharp and clear orchestration. All the orchestration bits, I'm listening for them in my mind. I'm expecting them. I'm waiting for them to come. I'm saying, I hope nothing's kind of buried, nothing's glossed over. And sure enough, everything is there as it should be, and actually prominent and clear. So I really liked Eleanor Rigby on here. Next track, I'm Only Sleeping. Again, I'm Only Sleeping based on one listen. Uh, I thought it was very vibrant, very powerful. John's vocals, the guitars, the backwards guitars. Later on, when John makes a yawning sound, you can hear that very clear. I was afraid that might be kind of subdued or something, but no, not the case. This was really enjoyable. So I'm Only Sleeping, pretty good too. So next track, Love You Too. You know, this song I'm coming to love more and more, and this new mix does it good. I have to say it really enhances it. It's a powerful and strong presentation. I think that "Love You Too" by George is really well served by this new Giles Martin mix. I liked it. All right. Next, we go to Here, There, and Everywhere, and I regret to say, my opinion only, my ears only. I was very disappointed with Here, There, and Everywhere. And I think the reason is because, this loudness thing that they're doing, everything's loud. Uh, I feel the song is too gentle. It's too soft for such a bombastic treatment. And again, I thought some things were lost, things that I've been used to hearing for decades. For example, when Paul first sings "I Want Her Everywhere," there's like a squeak, squeak as the guitar string moves. I didn't hear it. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? In a way, you could say that squeak on the fret or along the string. I've always said, why did they leave that in there? But I can't hear it without that. In a way, I'm so used to it that I kind of missed it. Now, maybe if I listened again, maybe if I had headphones on, maybe if I played another two or three times, I'd say, oh, it's still there. But either way, it was kind of lower. And I will also say that there's something about this next part I don't understand. At the near the end of the song, I'm going to call it finger snapping. I I don't think it's finger snapping. It's probably something, you know, love never dies. Watching, so I didn't hear those little sounds, whatever they are, whatever they've always been, whether it's some kind of a like clavinet or something, or whether they're, you know, I didn't hear it. And I missed it again. It annoyed me that it was gone, and it's just very, it's prominent and loud and up front. They're trying to match the intensity of the previous tracks, but for Here, There, and Everywhere, you don't need that. So I thought it lost something. I thought it lost its innocence, its softness, its gentleness. Next, we get to Yellow Submarine. All right. Yellow Submarine, I thought was a really good job. I enjoyed the new version of Yellow Submarine. Good job overall. One thing I really appreciated was when Ringo sings, "As we live a life of ease." You might notice, I don't know how many people pick up on this stuff, but the version we're mostly used to most of the time is they do not repeat in the background, "A life of ease." They don't usually repeat that. It's usually the "every one of us" is the first time you hear somebody say, "Every one of us, every one of us." Well, on this version, it's there. The repetition, the repeating the phrase starts with "as we live a life of ease." And I'm glad that that's in there. Now I don't know. Again, I'm a fan, but we don't know or we remember everything. I don't know if it's a mono and stereo issue. Some versions have the Life of Ease uh, repeat in it. Some don't. Whether that's mono, stereo, this, that, I don't know. All I know is it's here, and I'm glad it's here. Although usually it's not. So all right. Now we come to the last track on side one, usually when you're listening on vinyl. It's one of my favorite tracks on this album, and it's the worst track, the worst job, in my opinion, of this new mix. All right. She said. One of my favorite John tracks on here, maybe one of my favorite John tracks of all time. I think it's easily the worst track. Crushing disappointment. Crushing disappointment. Now, why do I say that? Again, John's voice, terrific. I do like the vocal on it, and the drums are great. The drums are prominent. I love the enhanced banging of the skins, tom toms, and things. But uh, what's missing are cymbal crashes. Where's the cymbals? What did you do to the cymbals, Giles? What happened? You know, I said boom ba dum ba dum, even though you know what you know, boom ba dum, the cymbal crashes are gone. Dude, if you want, maybe not literally gone, you can hear them. They're quieted. I hate that. I'm sorry, didn't like it. All right. So she said, really disappointing. But even more so, I noticed things like this. Some of you do too, I'm sure. The fade out was like cut abruptly off. Again, maybe this is how it is in some of the takes. Maybe this is the way it is on the actual recording. I don't know, but I'm used to somebody. I think it's George repeating the lines. I know what it's like to be. I know what it's like to be dead. And the final time with the fade out, it's cut abruptly, nasty. You don't get to hear George finish saying, "I know what it's like to be dead." That should have been the last fade out. Terrible job on this. She said, very, 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 very disappointing. So that's as bad as as my negativity is going to get here. I don't think anything reaches that. Then we go to Good Day Sunshine. Good Day Sunshine. I didn't notice anything bad in that. I thought maybe some of the drum things I'm used to hearing from the drums, Ringo's drums, toned down a little bit. But overall, I'm not going to complain too much about Good Day Sunshine. Then we come to And Your Bird Can Sing. And Your Bird Can Sing, a personal favorite song of mine. One of my all time favorites since I first heard it on the Beatles cartoon show as a little boy that they used And Your Bird Can Sing. I'm glad to say that on this new mix, it's still a strong mix, and it enhances the vocals and the guitars. It's a power song. Do they call this power pop? I don't know, but it's powerful. Love it. And your bird can sing good. Now we come to the next track, For No One. You may remember what I said about Here, There, and Everywhere. That goes the same for No One. Again, we have the same situation, a beautiful, soft, emotional, gentle song, uh, which is too loud. It's overkill. The loudness. Let's make it 2022. Let's get it up out there. Let's have all these tracks prominently sounding. I really felt that it was too much for No One. I wanted For No One to be a little bit more laid back sounding. Not everything has to scream like it's a heavy rock song or something. I didn't really Appreciate it, to tell you the truth. So for no one was a disappointment. Now we move on to the next track, Dr. Robert. Overall, I'd say good. Pretty good. I think this new mix serves it pretty well. Maybe I thought, just a nitpick, maybe I thought I had to struggle a little bit more to discern Paul McCartney singing along with John. I kind of would like him to sound a little bit more prominent. I thought, compared to what I'd been used to, again, for decades, I thought I wanted to hear Paul a little more, but that's could be just me. Overall, Dr. Robert didn't really bother me too much. All right, next track, George Harrison. I want to tell you. I want to tell you is a song I can't believe in past years I used to list "I Want to Tell You" as one of my least favorite Beatles songs. There were times when I really put it near the bottom. I've come to really like "I Want to Tell You" more and more, and I tell you, this new mix, I really appreciate it more because I thought it would really sounded good. Those drums, Ringo's with percussion, so up front, really really good, uh, and I liked them. I like the drums. I like the sound of it. Uh, the whole "I Want to Tell You" experience is just alive from this. So I really, really liked it. Okay, next up, we have "Gotta Get You Into My Life." I'll follow along what I just said for "Gotta Get You Into My Life." It retains its strength and power. The horns are great and alive, and it rocks. The song "Gotta Get You Into My Life" is one of those songs I'm kind of tired of, to tell you the truth. A lot of Beatles songs you get tired of, right? We've heard so many so often. However, I really got to say this gives it a new life. I really like "Got to Get You Into My Life" on this new Revolver. So very good. Of course, Paul's vocals right there. As I say, the vocals, all the problems that I may have here, there, and everywhere. Uh, it's just kind of a 50-50. Half of the album I like, half of it I don't like. None of the problems that I have are from the vocal presentation. You know, so now I regret to go to the last track, my favorite track on the album, one of my favorite John Lennon songs, one of my favorite Beatles songs, "Tomorrow Never Knows." I was disappointed. Again, this is again 50-50. Now here's the thing, when this song was recorded, I thought that the idea was that John wanted to sound like distant, like a monk or somebody in Tibet singing from a mountaintop. He's right in your face now, folks. It's right there. The vocals are not no longer. Some of that, I think this song loses some of its unearthly, un- otherworldly kind of vibe by the fact that John is now more right there. I'm not going to say that's even the worst thing about it. It's not. I mean, I can deal with that. I like John's voice, even if he didn't. And it's great to be able to hear him, I guess. Although it's not true to the original idea, I don't think. However, for me personally, again, this is all subjective. It's my individual hearing. I thought that some of the chants, some tape loop sounds, some of the sounds were subdued. They're missing. I'm expecting to hear these squeaks and whistles and wee wee and all this stuff a lot more prominent, and I just felt that it was missing some of it. So I was disappointed with "Tomorrow Never Knows." That's it, folks. I am now finished, but I want to say at the end, I will try to be honest. I'm not going to be, oh, it's Apple, it's Universal, it's Giles Martin, it's the Beatles. I gotta just say it's all great, just to make it look good. No, that's not me. But again, it's kind of, I think maybe I didn't do the math here. Maybe there were 7 tracks I liked, 6 not too keen on, so it's like a half and half. This will not likely be my go-to version. I'm not likely to grab this when I want to hear Revolver. However, for me, a guy that's older, that's been listening to this album for X amount of years, decades, I'm used to the other ones. I'll probably play the other ones, but I will go to this from time to time as a change, for a change, to have a change, something different. I won't say I'll never play this. There's some interesting stuff on it, as I said. There's some tracks I really like that were strong on here, But yeah, I don't think I'll generally play it as my main one, and that's it. I'm hoping that Giles does a lot better with the earlier albums. Just to repeat before I go, the albums that I'm interested in from him are 1963 up to 65 with Rubber Soul. Those are the ones that I think really, 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 you know, need to be improved. So I'm really hoping that that's going to be the case. All right. So anybody, thank you all for watching. Really appreciate it, and I shall talk to you very soon. Beatles forever. Right. Later.